In the process of this meeting today. Can I begin by welcoming you all to this special meeting of the Toowoomba Regional Council. This meeting is open to the public and will also be live streamed. I'd like to thank our staff who are in the room, to acknowledge those who may well be watching on Council social media channels. Can I begin by acknowledging the Aboriginal parties whose songlines traverse the lands we meet on today, the Western Waka Waka, the Guybil, the Jarrawa peoples, and of course those in the West, the Bigambal peoples. And can I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the knowledge, the rich traditions and the bold ambitions of Australia's first people. There are obviously no apologies at this point in time. There is a declaration from Councillor Von Hoff. Councillor Von Hoff.
Thank you, Chair. I request that it be minuted that I declared a declarable conflict of interest in relation to item number 6, business for which the Mayor wishes to have considered at this meeting without notice, a mayoral minute. Item number 6.1, the Gowrie Oakey Creek Irrigators Association at the ordinary meeting of Council on the 17th of May 2022, and of Council's decision to allow me to participate in the decision about the matter. As the relevant circumstances have not changed, I will participate in the decision about the matter, including by voting on the matter.
Thanks, Councillor Von Hoff. There's no need for any further formalities in respect to that. Councillors, if I can just give you a bit of a history in respect to this matter was brought to me by the Oakey Creek Irrigators, and that's the very reason I brought it to Council. Can I thank Matt and Paul and the whole team from the water area for the work that they've done, the analysis they've done, and I think we're all pretty much aware of the fact that you having been in an information session, that the recommendation that's coming from our people is that this does not fit the criteria, and that in fact the recommendation is that Council does not proceed in making an application for a permanent release of wastewater from Matala Water Reclamation Facility under the Off-Farm Efficiency Grants program. I think the meeting we had with them the other day was very forthright. I think Councillor Von Hoff, you were part of that, and Councillor Nancy, were you at that meeting? Yeah. Sorry about that, it was a bit of a hectic day. But I think we got our point across that this is probably doesn't fit the criteria that we need. And as such, I think the recommendation that's been put forward by our staff is the appropriate recommendation at this point in time. The Oakey Irrigators will still continue to communicate with us, and I think the whole water discharge under licence into the Oakey Creek is a very complicated thing, and you know, we certainly need to give anything that we do in respect to this an awful lot of thought to make sure that the propriety around it is spot on. So are there any comments around the room in regard to this matter? Councillor Summerfield.
Mr Chair, I just think in the interest of transparency for the community who may be watching live stream, it would be good to hear from the officers in relation to the actual report. Would that be appropriate?
It's okay by me. Paul Quinlan, would you like to just say a few words, please? Paul was very much part of the meeting we had with the Oakey Irrigators, and thank you very much for your contribution and the work that's been done behind the scenes.
Good afternoon, councillors. Okay, so the main matters that we're looking at was the eligibility criteria for this grant, and there are a number of factors that we had to consider with this, and I'll just go through these that we've got listed in our report. The first one there is that the project must be located within the catchment of the Murray-Darling Basin. The second one is that it must deliver water savings, and it says there that some of which will be transferred to the Australian government. And that was one of the key points, that it must deliver water savings, and there had to be an actual project in order to be able to deliver those water savings. So the project must relate to an allocation that has been held for at least 3 years at the time of making the application. And something we need to keep in mind is that this was a one-off grant. It was not something that was going to continue perpetually. And there must be a transfer of an unencumbered water entitlements to the Australian government. Thank you. No.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. So, Paul, can you just explain where we're not meeting the eligible criteria?
Where we are not.
Where it doesn't, yeah.
Okay, well, for a start, we don't have a project to be able to save water, and that is one of the key things. It's about saving water in order to put back to the environment. So, and the water that we've got is already going to the creek, so it's not saving it in any way. So that, to me, that's one of the key factors in which we fall down on.
Councillor McDonald and then Councillor Carroll-Taylor has
Thanks.
a question.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mr Chair. I guess through you to Paul, obviously this group have come to council with the thought that this may have fit the criteria, and it seems clearly from your research that it's well off that criteria, with obviously the water that's being used coming from a different catchment, as well as those things you've mentioned. So is this a conversation that you're having with the Garryoke Creek irrigators around more securing their water supply rather than this one-off grant? Is that where that's coming from?
No, this is securing water for them is an entirely different matter in relation to securing water for the environment. So this is about securing water for the environment. That's what the grant is about.
Yes. No, thanks for that clarification. So it's not.
Councillor Carroll-Taylor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, it just doesn't fit that criteria, and I think by not saving, that's the key issue. That's what the grant's about. So, yeah, I don't think we have any alternative. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions around the room? If not, is it appropriate that somebody move the recommendation? Councillor Carroll-Taylor has moved that. Councillor Tim McMahon has seconded that. Anyone wishing to vote against the recommendation, wish to debate? If not, I will put that to the vote. Those in favour? It's carried. Thank you very much for your attendance. I'll declare the meeting closed.